Well, the answer is probably yes. And, we're seeing deflation now because of the moves that have been made that have created this deflationary undertow for 6 years now. And M3, which is no longer published, it was shoved up to 18% a number of times, just recently, as a matter of fact. And one of the significant things I see happening is that M3 has dropped down to about 4.5%, and the European Central Bank has dropped it to about 4.7%. So there's something going on here that as yet we don't understand. And to bring that level of credit creation and money creation down to that level, which is normal, incidentally, tells me that if they continue to do so and do what they're doing, we may not have an inflationary blow-off. We may go directly into the great dark pit, and that is the deflationary depression. Now, let's see how long they keep this M3 and M4, it's M4 for Europe, at these levels. If they maintain it there for 3 or more months, this whole thing's going to collapse. So we could be coming, if it maintains there, we could be coming into collapse time. It's so hard to call, and you look at the numbers, and then you back off and you say, well, are they going to continue this? Well, we won't know for a couple of months. But the way they're acting right now is they want to pull the bottom out over the next 6 months. And I, quite frankly, can't call it. I mean, I got to see more of what they're doing.
Yeah.
But no matter which way you cut it, the only place to be is in gold and silver-related assets, because they are the only things that will not collapse. What'll collapse is stock markets and bond markets and commercial and residential real estate, factories, production, etc. But gold is going to hold its value. It's not going to go down precipitously like everything else, and that's exactly what happened in the deflationary depression of the 1930s. In fact, gold doubled, and the Homestake went from $30 to $636 a share. So you got to come in going here if you're in gold and silver.
All right, we'll take this break. Michael in New York, thank you for your call. I want to get into the advice that, the banks were given in Japan. It's to be irresponsible, and that brings you your credibility. I kid you not. We'll be right back.
You're tuned in to the National Intel Report, the Real Talk Radio Show.
Does it get any stranger than this? The Mugumbo guru of the Daily Reckoning, Richard Doughty, Doughty, I think his name is, Daughty, I think that's how you pronounce it. He said he thought that Paul Krugman is one of those absurd guys that has no idea what he's talking about. And he said, I say this with such obvious disrespect because Mr. Krugman is on record as having advised the Bank of Japan to cause inflation. Now, and here's the reasoning. The way to make monetary policy effective is for the central bank to credibly promise to be irresponsible, to make a persuasive case that it will permit inflation to occur, thereby producing the negative real interest rates the economy needs. Now, that's the thinking. In fact, he thinks that a central bank trying to reflate a collapsing economy should announce a deliberate plan to raise the level of prices, such as the CPI or the Consumer Price Index, from current low levels to some dramatically higher value. And they call that the price level gap. Now, to make it more theatrical of the absurd, he then says to keep creating more inflation in prices. Now, this would be bad enough coming from just another egghead academic from Princeton, but a terrifying quote from Ben Bernanke, chairman of the Federal Reserve, shows that he agrees with this nonsense. Now, this is what Uncle Helicopter Ben said. Ben Bernanke, a successful effort to eliminate the price level gap would proceed roughly in 2 stages. During the first stage, the inflation rate would exceed the long-term desired inflation rate as the price level gap was eliminated and the effects of previous deflation undone. Call this the reflationary phase of policy. Second, once the price level target was reached, or nearly so, the objective for policy would become a conventional inflation target or a price level target that increases over time and an average desired rate of inflation. Bob, what's he saying here to you?
Gobbledygook. I mean, it is so absurd. And, you know, they get away with it in the university, and maybe if you're writing for the New York Times like Krugman does, it's okay. But it means, you know, let's just inflate everything until it all works. And it's Keynesianism to its very total extent, and it won't work. I mean, they're going down, and that's why they're so desperate. And all of this political talk that we had earlier in the program related to the President and Congress and all of the bills and things that are going on, these are their people. All of them, both parties, with minor exception. Their people being the people of the Illuminati who they control. And they're running scared. We are really tearing them up.
Don in Ohio. Don, you've been holding here forever. Hello, Don.
Hello?
Hi.
Am I on here?
Yeah, just clear the dust off the receiver of the phone. You've been hanging so long.
Good evening, gentlemen. Yeah, I want to get back to the health care thing. I seen a representative at a town hall meeting, and somebody asked him about the illegals getting care with this health care bill thing. And he goes, well, they're no way going to get the care that, you know, they're not going to be involved in it and stuff like that. So I want to know, you know, what provisions are in, you know, that basically tell the hospitals that, you know, once a Mexican or, you know, well, illegal anyways, comes in and, you know, if they don't show that they're, you know, actually a legal citizen, that they don't get care.
Well, and that clip that I played, well, we've got to have verification. So what I smell there is a national ID. And again, let me drop back to my earlier statement about the Hegelian dialectic. The borders should have been sealed. But now we've got, and there's been millions of them who run back to Mexico because there are no jobs here. These were the honest people that weren't cretins and gangbangers and murderers and rapists and thieves. There's no work here, so they're going back home. That's very nice. But for the 25 to 30 million still in this country, you know, what are we to do about them? We got to do the humanitarian thing. After all, Don, they got anchor babies here. And if a baby's born in this country, that's a citizen. We can't split the parents from. You see where all this rhetoric is going. It's, again, the Hegelian dialectic. They create the problem. You know, we've been talking about the illegal immigration problem, the unsealed borders for years, but don't worry, they're going to come up with a solution for you, and it's going to cost you money. They're breaking the law, but it's going to cost you money.
Getting into that same situation, they knew what was coming, and because they were basically causing it and stuff like that. When Walmart was trying to get a bank for their own, for their stores and stuff like that, do you think they were on the inside knowing that there was going to be a big bank bailout and basically they could ride the gravy train?
I don't know, Bob. What do you think?
Oh, I think definitely. I mean, they're a major luminous corporation. They bring in about 70% of what they sell in their stores from China. And they had to have known. That's why they tried to set up a bank. And, of course, the other players didn't want them in because they're Johnny-come-latelys. And why should they let them in? We want it all for ourselves.
I also think that, they knew way back when they changed the bankruptcy laws because, they had to get that in place before the crap hit the fan. So they would be covered, but the average person would not be.
I'm sorry, Don, you faded off there.
Okay.
Yeah,
I was just saying that I think that in that same vein, I think they knew in advance, way in advance, what was going to happen with the economy. That's why they passed the rulings on the bankruptcy, so people would have so much harder time to file for complete to get out of the mess that they're under. But the big boys managed to stay above the fray.
Yeah,
John?
Yeah.
These things are planned 20 and 30 years ahead of time.